What is up? This is Christopher. Today I want to talk about Firewatch. Now, Firewatch is available on both the PC via Steam or the PlayStation 4. It is $17.99 in Steam, $17.99 for PlayStation Plus subscribers, or $19.99 if you are not a Plus subscriber on the PlayStation. Now, I personally am playing this on the PlayStation 4, so my opinion of this game is based on the PS4 version. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I like, some of the things that I didn't like, and I'm not going to go into too much about the story in particular because I don't want to spoil it, because I think it's a fantastic game and I think it's best experienced if you go out and purchase the game and experience all the stuff about it and how the story unfolds and begins or whatever. So let me just tell you some of the things that I liked. I think the story is very immersive, it was very compelling, it's sort of thrilling and mysterious, and it kind of dragged me in. And the main character, or your character, his name is Henry, and I kind of felt like I was Henry, like I was playing the part of Henry. Like, I had to choose, sometimes it would give me kind of like a role-playing type dialogue where I had to go with like option A or option B, or sometimes when I'm talking to my coworker Delilah, who works in a Firewatch tower on the other side of the mountain, and this is who I communicate with throughout the game. Sometimes I would have like three choices. I had to choose, how to answer or whatever. So it kind of had like a role-playing game feel to it. It also had like a quick time event feel to it as well, because you only had like so many seconds to answer sometimes when you would get asked a question. You had this little clock that ticks down, and kind of like an hourglass type thing. It was like a little yellow line that would drop, and you had to answer before the yellow line filled up. And if you didn't, then your option to answer would disappear. So it kind of had like both type of like a role playing and a QTE feel to it, even though it's labeled as a walk-in adventure game. But the story is very immersive. Like, it's a lot of detail to it. The beginning of it is kind of sad. Like, you really feel bad for Henry, the character in the game, when you first start playing it. But I immediately, once I started playing it, like, I couldn't put it down. Like, there is a tad bit of reading in the beginning of the game. It starts off with basically no gameplay. It's just like dialogue, and you have to choose like between two answers, and I guess it kind of tells which particular aspect or how your story is going to be told. But I was immediately dragged into the game. Like, once I started reading these questions, I really wanted to know what was going to happen next. It's not an open world, but it kind of did feel like it. I would run into dead ends, and it was like, okay, so I have to stay on this path, but I could venture off into other paths, and then like I could communicate with Delilah on my walkie-talkie, and she would be like, hey, you went the wrong direction. You need to look at your map and, head northwest or southeast or, whatever. So now I'd pull my map out on my compass and, backtrack and, try to figure out which way to go. So even though it's not open world in the regard of where I can just go anywhere throughout the game, I could more or less kind of, take my own path for some of it. The character development, like I said, is great. Some of the things that I didn't like, now this is within regards to the PS4, the controls, in my opinion, absolutely sucked. It took about 30 minutes for me to get used to it. It utilizes the bumpers and the triggers on the PS4 a lot. Like if I want to pull out my map, I had to like hold down one trigger, and then I had to like hold the other trigger to like zoom in on it. Same thing like with the compass, like you had to like you push down on the D-pad, so you're using like the D-pad and the bumpers and triggers a lot for this game versus like the buttons like X, triangle, square, circle, and thumbsticks. Like, you walk with the thumbsticks, but if you want to run fast, you would like press square or whatever, and then he would like jog. And so, while you do use buttons for some things, like, rappelling down the side of a mountain or climbing rocks and stuff, I just feel like the game would have been better utilized if you could have somehow like switched up the controls to use the buttons more, which just because that's what I'm used to with most games on the PS4. Like the only time I really ever use triggers are like in shooter games, like to shoot, to aim, or to throw grenades or something. As far as like, jumping and running and, just interacting like with a map or something. I don't know. It just kind of felt weird to me at first. I did notice some lagginess or drop frames on the PS4. Like I'd say like every minute or so, it was kind of like felt like I was going into like bullet time, like where things would kind of like lag or slow down a little bit, like when I was walking. So those were probably my two biggest issues were the controls and the lagginess. Like I couldn't adjust the sensitivity of the thumbstick, like when I'm looking left or right with the thumbstick. I was just kind of like stuck with this, what I consider to be like a slow, um, you know, sensitivity on the joystick. Like I play, say if I'm playing like Battlefront or Battlefield, like I boost my sensitivity all the way up. That's just how I'm used to playing. With this game, they didn't have an option to change the setting for the sensitivity. That would something that I would love to see implemented like in an update to the game, as well as maybe address the lagginess of it. Now, I want to mention I was streaming while I was playing, so I'm not sure if that had, some sort of effect on my gameplay. I don't think it did because I've never experienced that before while streaming, but who knows? I'm just going to throw that out there. That could have been an issue with that. Another thing that I found kind of weird, sometimes the story would just end, like it would say like day one, then it would go to day two, and it would be nighttime. And then other times it would be the middle of the day, and then the day would just end, and it would say, day 15 or whatever, end of the day or whatever. But it would still be daytime. It wouldn't be night. So the first time that happened kind of caught me off guard. I thought maybe the game like crashed or was broken or something. I was like, the day ended. Like I'm in the middle of doing something, and all of a sudden the story just suddenly end, and then it's like a few days later. It doesn't go like day one, day two, day three. It starts to skip around the more days you go. Like it did go like day one, day two, day three, and then it like skipped to day 9 or something, and then went from like 9 to 15. So I kind of felt that was a little weird, but didn't ruin the story of the game though. Overall, I give this game a huge 2 thumbs up. It's a great walking type game. It is slow paced. I did stream this last night and I had about 30 people in the stream. This is not the type of game that you probably normally want to stream though. This is like an arcade style game. You want to sit at home and enjoy this. But it's well worth the $18 that I spent for it as a Plus subscriber on the PlayStation. So if you're looking for something that's just relaxing, it's not stressful, has a compelling story, it's a little sense of adventure. You kind of get the feel that you're outdoors. You find like a little cardboard camera from the 80s. You can like stop in the game and take pictures. It's very scenic because you're in the outdoors, you're on a mountain, you're hiking. It's just it's a great game if you're into these type of games. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them down in the comment box below. Have a great day.